Hello everybody, it's Canadian Samurai here to review the Kotobukiya Metal Beetle, or Metabee if you are Canadian, or North American. Alright. I was very excited for this model kit as it's become notoriously expensive over the years. Okay, maybe not that expensive, but when it got a re-release, you could bet I was all over that. I watched a lot of Medabots as a kid. Who hasn't in Canada? It's very, especially since the dub was produced in Canada. Alright, now let's get on with the review. Now, before we talk about the actual kit itself, let's look at some of the accessories. First off, you get these three, I guess they are meant to be machine gun projectiles. I would like to point out, no, the tips of them do not come in black, that you have to paint yourself. Unfortunately, you might think, oh, display him shooting them. Well, they're not supposed to be like that. They don't work with this side. On this side, however, they actually have a firing gimmick. Plug that in, and now that becomes a button, and I just lost that. Yeah, there's a reason I don't really like those missile firing gimmicks. Alright, next up, you've got a missile. You get two of them. They easily just plug right into the top of the head like that. They look very nice. And unlike the other one, this is actually comes painted like that. Although this part is not painted, so you'd have to do that yourself. Next up, we have the alternate face. Well, I say faces, but they're more like eyes. So, by default, we have right here, we have the regular eyes. We have a one with a smaller eye and a more open eye. Guess you could say this is Metabee being a little bit more smug. If you've seen the anime, you know his personality. Then you got the wide open eyes. I guess you want to display him surprised about something. And then you just have this one, which is just clear green. I'm not sure the reason why. Next up, we got hands. Now, he has two fist hands, and you have two different open hands. I just dropped one, but yeah. For both sides, you get this open hand with the fingers spread out, and then you have these ones where the fingers are more curled. Up, focus. There we go. Alright. And next, we get this, which is meant to display letterbox. You get a sheet right here with a bunch of them. They're all in Japanese. You also get, can't remember what that one is called. You get a blank one in case you want to get a marker and have them say whatever you want. But these are cardboard that you gotta cut out, and I'm too lazy to do that, so never gonna use those. This actually is meant to plug into this. Yes, you actually get a replica of the metal. That is actually really nice. You have the hole right there that plugs into there, but I'm never gonna use that, so I usually just display it like this. I would also like to point out the metal, as you can see, the gold and the metallic green, it does not come like that. It is all just one solid yellow piece, the same yellow as this. So if you want it to look like this, you're going to have to paint that yourself. And lastly, you get a stand adapter. This just goes and it plugs into the crotch piece right there. I can't really do it on camera because it is a little annoying to get in there. It's easier to just plug it into the stand and then plug it onto the figure that way. Alright, now let's get on with the figure itself. First off, when it's fully built, I think it looks really nice. It is a simple design, so you don't have to worry about all those, any extravagant details or anything. There is one thing that does bother me, and it's this piece right here in the elbow. Now, if you've seen the anime, or if you look at the official shots of the figure, this is actually painted a dark gray, but here it's all white. But what I don't understand, this is actually it's a separate piece. So why was it molded in white instead of being molded in the same dark gray as this? That just does not make any sense. So, yeah, that's another thing you're going to want to paint yourself if you want this thing to be as accurate as possible. These dark spots there, that I did that with a Gundam marker. That's also something you might want to do yourself. Alright, and there's the back, and if you know the show, the back is where you put in the metal. That actually opens up, little compartment, and you get a tiny little metal that you can stick in there. Again, it's molded in the same yellow, so again, you're going to want to paint that if you want it to look accurate. Let's close that back up. Alright, let's get into the articulation. This thing uses a lot of polycaps, and I worry that it might get loose over the years, so it might not stay this solid forever, but what can you do? Alright, now the head, the way it works is you have a polycap up in the head itself, and then one down in the neck. So once that's plugged in, you can roll the head around a lot. It does not go back very far. It goes pretty far forward. That's alright. Now these things, they are also on a polycap, but they don't really move. They mostly just rotate. And they might fall apart if you rotate them too hard, but usually they're just going to stay stationary. Now, for the shoulder, again, it's just a single polycap, so that actually just rotates all around like that. And again, it pops out, but it's not loose enough to be annoying. Now, for the arm, that's on a separate piece. That goes out like all the way like that, so you can get his arm all the way out like that. The elbow, unfortunately, not very much articulation. It's also on a polycap, and it doesn't bend that much. That's about as far as it goes, unfortunately. Now, this part actually rotates, and that is very useful for when you're trying to pose him when he's shooting. These the gun barrels, they are completely static, they don't move, and you can't, like, unless you have a different kind of effect piece that you could plug in there, he does not come with one for this, unfortunately. Now the hands, they are on a polycap, but they, really all they can do is swivel. You don't, unless you, like, pull it out slightly to get some movement, you're not going to get much movement out of this. Alright. And the torso is on a single polycap. You plug that in, you can spin around, and this is probably the worst part about the figure. He tends to, when you're moving him, if you move him too much, he will pop off, and it is very easy to do. So be mindful of that. If you're not, it's going to probably drive you nuts. So yes, he can rotate, and he can bend a little bit far back. It's so difficult. I think about that far forward without it popping off. Oh, it just popped up again. Alright, okay, this front skirt piece is also on a polycap. It goes, I just popped it off. It goes a little bit forward, but it also does rotate. Now, thighs, again, polycap. They go, you can, if you move them, you can get them to kick that far. That's pretty good. The back skirt, unfortunately, it does not move, so you can't really get his leg to move backwards. And they do pop off. But, oh, jeez, they really should have used something else for the torso, or the waist, or whatever you want to call it. Alright. Now, the knees are actually not on a polycap, as you can see. Let's put the leg forward. Okay, let's just leave the top off for now. So the leg, as it goes that forward, and the knee actually bends much better than the elbow. That's actually pretty good. This thing is driving me nuts. You have a thigh swivel right there. It's a little too low for my liking, but it's functional, so that's all fine with me. Now, the feet are on. You have they're on two separate pieces. You have this part, and then you have this part. Now, they're separate, so, well, if you move the back part, it'll move together. The front piece, usually that will move by itself. I guess, like, if you want to get a little bit of extra range, you could do that, but I guess not. All right. Oh, his eyes fell out. Let's put one of them back on. There we go. This is the problem I have with polycaps. They just like to fall off all the time. So, hold on, give me a second. Let me find that. Okay, final verdict. Well, if you are a fan of Medabots, then I do recommend this kit. But be warned, that waist joint, with it popping off all the time, it is going to drive you kind of mad. Now, once he's posed, he actually does look really, really good. Actually, playing with him, it can be a bit annoying, but it's not so annoying that to the point where it becomes unbelievably frustrating. Like the actual pieces themselves, they hold together really nicely. It's mainly the polycap joints that have a tendency to pop off. Well, that does it for this review. This is Canadian Samurai, and I'll see you next time.